The Islamization of Nigeria is not a theory, it is a blueprint. Tinubu is not hiding it anymore, really, wow. The Nigerian government is spending millions on lobbyists and PR firms in Washington and London. They've hired some of the best spin doctors money can buy, and I will give them this. They can muddy the waters about the terrorist massacres. They can repackage government failures as security challenges. They can trot out ambassadors with talking points about farmer-herder conflict and climate-driven migration. But there is one thing they cannot hide: the historic, aggressive and ongoing efforts to fully Islamize Nigeria by any means necessary. Not the violence, not the body counts, the structure, the laws, the constitution, the courts, the schools, the appointments, the architects of a 20th century year conquest. That is not winding down but accelerating right now in broad daylight with receipts. All the talk of a secular democracy is an elaborate masquerade to keep Nigeria in the good graces of the West. It is a fraud, and the evidence is so overwhelming that no amount of lobbying can bury it. I have made 16 trips to Nigeria since 2010, multiple under level 4 do not travel warnings. I've spent time with children who watched their parents slaughtered for being Christians. I run 3 schools in displacement camps that the Nigerian government says don't exist. I've sat across the table from 2 former Nigerian presidents. I carry protection now, even at my home in Texas, because of what I have uncovered. So when I tell you the Islamization of Nigeria is not a conspiracy theory, not an exaggeration, and not Islamophobia, I'm telling you that what I spent 15 years documenting with my own eyes, my own hands, and my own money, and every piece of it is on the record. Let me show you. They didn't start yesterday. Problem here is Islamization of Nigeria and think it's a recent problem. It isn't. It's a 220-year project, and the blueprint has never changed. In 1804, a Fulani scholar named Usman Danfodio launched a violent jihad across what is now northern Nigeria. Historical records indicate that as many as 250,000 died. He established the Sokoto Caliphate, an Islamic empire that swallowed dozens of ethnic groups and governed by Sharia. It was the largest scale state in Africa south of the Sahara. But when the British arrived, they didn't dismantle it, they preserved it under indirect rule. They empowered the emirs, propped up the Islamic aristocracy, and suppressed the South. When they left in 1960, they handed the keys to the heirs of the caliphate. On independence day, the man holding those keys was Ahmadu Bello, the Sultana of Sokoto, direct descendant of Danfodio, premier of northern Nigeria. His vision was explicit. He founded Jamaatul Nasir Islam, the Society for the Victory Nasir Islam. In 1962, he launched conversion campaigns across the north that converted more than 100,000 people in those 2 provinces. He has stated goal: Nigeria as an estate of our great-grandfather, Usman Danfodio. He was assassinated in the 1966 coup, but his project didn't buy with him. When the Christian South tried to leave, when the Igbo people declared the Republic of Biafra in 1967, the Muslim-dominated North crushed them. Britain, backed by the North for values, for oil, BP was extracting billions annually. The blockade starved 1 to 3 million people to death, mostly women and children. The message was clear: resistance will be annihilated. After the war, the military government seized Christian missionary schools across the country, schools that missionaries had built, funded, and operated since the 1840s. The backbone of education in Nigeria. Overnight, they were nationalized. In some northern states, the names were changed to erase their Christian origin. St. John's College became Rimi College. Queen of Apostles became Queen Amina College. The curricula were gutted. The moral foundation that had produced generations of Nigerian leaders were replaced with state-controlled content. In 1986, military dictator Ibrahim Babangida secretly enrolled Nigeria as a full-time member of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, the 57-nation body that calls itself the collective voice of the Muslim world. He did it without consulting his cabinet. His own deputy, Commodore Ebitu Ekowe, a Christian, said publicly that it was never discussed at the Supreme Court Military Council. Oh, really? Now, wow. The Military Council, Ekowe was fired in 2012. Nigeria's Minister of State for Foreign Affairs described Nigeria as an OIC meeting in Saudi Arabia as an Islamic state with the largest Christian portion. Population. The backlash was fierce. The minister backpedaled, but Nigeria remains a full member of the OIC till this day. As Bogu says, some ethnic group of Nigeria are just blindfolded with no means to find solution to their problem. Igbos are hated because they've seen the structure of Nigeria long time ago and came with a separate agenda to have their own country, Biafra. Now it's obvious that Yorubas with their quality education, yet they are cowards. Followers and no Yoruba Muslim had ever led Hausa man in their prayers. I believe this illustration will change the mind of many Nigerians that are resisting to their Islamization. I believe this illustration will change the mind of many Nigerians to resist the Islamization agenda. Central Issue said, God bless you, sir. That was what Nnamdi Kanu noticed, and they spied all his parents, then took him to Sokoto. As Stanley says, does it mean there is no way out of this? How do you want to live? Is there any hope at the end of the tunnel? A stitch in time, they say, says 9. Wisdom first. Okay. Emeka says, exposing this blueprint is the major reason Nnamdi Kanu is serving a life jail in Sokoto, and some Christians without visions and foresight are clapping hands. If we don't wake up now, Turkey will happen to us. My listeners, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Thank you for listening. See you some other time. Bye.